All right, here we go. We're back in the counselor's corner for another exciting topic tonight. One of those courageous conversations that need to happen, should continuously happen, and it's gonna happen. Um, Hello, Nisha G. Thanks for joining me in the counselor's corner. Ebony Swanson, thanks for joining me in the counselor's corner. So tonight's topic is going to be white supremacy. Is it real? And we're bringing back, of course, the big bad wolf hanging out with Herb um, tonight. And he's going to, tackle the subject. And so here's the introduction. Here we go again, another courageous conversation with that guy. Topic is going to be white supremacy. Is it real? Okay, who got that back? As you heard?
Yeah.
All right. I thought them was those hecklers. I was about to say, Ronnie Maxwell Oles, thanks for joining me. Police, BSN, RN White, thanks for joining me. Charlene Alexander, thanks for joining me. So let me finish reading this introduction. On this episode, Herb will be discussing white supremacy and how it impacts blacks in numerous areas of our lives. Children out of wedlock, number one. Number two, spending habits. Number three, investments. Number four, spending power, African Americans. And number five, education. So we're going to tackle some of that, and you know how it is. We hope that you would call in and give your feedback or type in your commentary throughout the show, but please share the video after or share it during the, during the broadcast. So before Herbert goes deep into this subject, of course, I always start off with some counselor's concerns. And today's concern would be no other than the Jay-Z situation. I am so sick and tired of people with their commentary about this issue. Listen, whether you agree how it went down or you feel like he stabbed Cap in the back, Eric Reed, none of us know how it is to be at that status. And we don't know how this is going to play out. The one thing we should be celebrating, like, man, he's about to have an opportunity. Now, granted, if the reports is true that I read that he would have 5% minority share with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I hope it's true. They're my boys, the Steelers, and that's one of the greatest football franchises there is. So at least he's getting to that point, and maybe it's a call of order that you start off doing the minority thing and then you see how things work. Then next thing you know, he's a majority owner, and maybe that may be his way of tackling some of these issues as far as injustice. But the one question I want to ask, what the hell does the NFL have to do with police brutality? And I understand it's a big platform, but I'm trying to think, like, what were people thinking that, like, the NFL was going to send? I mean, I want to know what was going to be their major role in this. Granted, it's like 1,200 black athletes that play, but nobody's really coming at them as far as with Cap and his boy Eric Reed is still playing, still collecting them checks. So if you're collecting checks and if you're a Cap, you still want to get in the league, y'all should shut the hell up and just sit back and admire the move that Jay-Z is making, because not too many people will get on that level. And you also have to understand, Jay-Z done sat and had meetings with powerful people like Warren Buffett and people like that. So he knows the game and he's working it. And our problem as blacks a lot of time is we talk a lot of shit and we don't know shit about the game, but we commentate from what we see. But our asses are still waiting around for a 25-cent raise every year or something to that level. So what the hell do you really got to say when you tripping over 25 cents every year? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, I don't really have too much to say other than see how it folds out. Because I'm like, damn, I only wish I could be at that level, and I'm not gonna come at it with no level of like being envious. I'm like, man, that's good stuff. So that's one thing. That's one of my concerns. I'm not gonna belabor that because all of that stuff kind of ties in with tonight's subject. And my last, it was really not a concern. Just giving you an update on No Friday Foolishness. I did get the my rough draft back, so I'm in the process of revising the edits that the great Diamond Flowers of Diamond Editorial, Diamond Touch Editorial Services have done for me. And let me just share a little story. She ain't listening. I worry about Diamond. She was one of my former students, one of my favorite students. So when I was leaving her junior year, going into her senior year, I have found out that I had got a department chair position, but it was at another school. And, she was so sweet during that process because she was like devastated that I was leaving. Like, how could you leave, Mr. Glover, in my senior year? You've been here. Who's going to write my recommendation letter? Who's going to do that? And I'm like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And really up until the point, the last day, well, even like before I got ready to leave, I would start packing my boxes and she would come in my office like, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to pack. I'm leaving. She's like, why do you have to do it now? I said, when am I going to do it, Diamond? When am I going to do it? But she was really, she was bothered. Then even the last day, it was so sweet of her. She had got out of school, maybe a half a day left, called back up there to see if I was still up there, came back up to the school to sit with me the last couple hours and try to convince me why I should stay. What's a department chair? Why can't I do it at the school I was at? Then I'm like, we already have somebody doing that. She's like, well, she's nobody. You're like an icon here. So she was really pushing it. Then she was like, well, I just hope the first day of school, you forget which school you're going to and you show up here and they make you stay. So she was always a sweetheart. So in return, I said, and I know that she went on and got her bachelor's in English at Howard University, and she had been doing some editing work. I said, I'm going to reach out to her and see if she would do it. And she, did a great job, gave me suggestions. It's funny to be on the other end when I was calling all the shots with her, but now she's telling me, oh, you need to do this. You need to bring this up. You need to mention that. So I just wanted to share that story and give Diamond a shout out, and hopefully she'll be getting a lot more of my business and other people as I grow in this publishing industry. So now, finally, here we go, the meat and potatoes, the white supremacy that just never ended. It's always here. It's always impacting us, and it's impacting us because some of the choices that we make. Granted, like I said, it's always going to be there, but we can help our cause by making right choices or doing certain things to kind of say, nah, we can counter that move. That shit ain't working right here. But when you don't do anything, you're in a rut. And that's where a lot of people are when it comes to this. So Herb, go ahead, my man.
And I'm glad you started out with the whole Colin Kaepernick experience, man. This to me, and I said last year, when he got started with the initial protest, I was down with that cause. I was like, okay, he's protesting the unfair treatment of minorities, particularly minority males, at the hands of law enforcement. The place where he lost me is when he started to go wayward with attacking law enforcement officers and things of that nature.
You know what I'm saying, you motherfucker? You know what I'm saying?
Things of that nature. That's what I said.
Fuck your mama and her ass. Yeah, I would do it. That you can talk that shit on the phone. Motherfucker, what's up with it?
Stupid.
So, yeah. So that's when he lost me. And then I looked back
get off the phone, bitch.
What he was and what he started to do. And I said to myself,
oh, daddy, and your sister in the ass. If I was there, I'd come put my foot in your ass, whole motherfucker.
One individual starts to protest and they don't have a plan to see that protest through to fruition. And I looked back and I said, he had no idea what he was going to do. And then I started digging back farther into his personal background. And then I realized something. He is biracial. Hey, so we have a propensity of embracing everybody that shares our heritage. And we have to stop doing that. We have to stop bringing everybody on board that we believe is a hero. Because some people are just co-opting our cause, and I believe that's what Kaepernick ended up doing in the end. So let's look at his life in totality. He was abandoned by his birth parents, African-American father, Caucasian mother, adopted by a reasonably well-to-do Caucasian family, and raised in that environment.
Who are you?
So we have to ask ourselves, what did he face in terms of the struggle that the average African-American living in the United States of America has faced? Has any of his friends ever been brutalized by the police? Chances are no. Has any of his friends ever been pulled over and charged while they're black? The answer is probably no. When he went to school at the University of Nevada, did he partake in any protests designed to bring awareness to the ill treatment of minority males at the hands of law enforcement? And then we follow this on and on and on. And then we get to his career in the NFL. What people don't realize then is he walked out on a contract that the 49ers extended him. And he bet on himself. And when nobody signs him,
hey, my name's Greg. I've never been with a guy. I wanted to protest about it for years. No multiple guys.
Isn't wrong. But what
so that's what you do. What's up, my nigga?
So when you put that in perspective, you start to look at it and say, well, wait a minute. When did he become aware of, quote unquote, the struggle that he's never faced? And the answer is he's never had. Now, there's a report from ESPN via the Chicago Tribune, and the reporter is Paul Gutierrez, dated September 23rd, 2004, in which he is on record as saying, niggering somebody who wanted to be African-American teammate. Now, I want people to juxtapose that to the Colin Kaepernick, that is being put before us. The man has got a settlement. Now, if anybody is aware of gag orders and legal proceedings, he can't speak on the terms of the settlement. He can't speak anything about what he was awarded or why. But we don't hear him saying anything else about the ill treatment of minority males. He can't do that, and we haven't seen anything. The only thing, we never hear any direct quotes, anything that he said, anything associated with what he has said. And why is that? So that brings me back to our culture of false worshiping. And it's just like I said last week regarding religion. We have to break out of that mindset of what we're being spoon-fed, and we have to start thinking critically and asking ourselves, what can we do? To hell with anybody else. The hell with white supremacy. The hell with what this individual is doing. What can I do individually?
Fuck all y'all, how about that motherfucker? Fuck all y'all, how about that motherfucker? Stick a dick in your ass and blow it up. Motherfucker.
Asking ourselves, what can we do to better ourselves? So I started looking at some of the things that we have individual control over in our very lives, in our day-to-day lives, that we can combat white supremacy. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. What I'm saying is we have the tools to minimize any effect that it has. So I want people to understand that. And the first thing I looked at was the children out of wedlock. And if you're not versed with the statistics, go and look them up. I'm not going to cite them for verbatim, because I don't want anybody disagreeing with saying, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm not going to do that. Just go look up the statistics.
Let me say something, Herb. Let me say something right quick. I apologize to y'all for these interruptions. It's somebody that I know, that they hating, so they feel like they have to come on here and try to cause a disruption. This ain't no random person. This is somebody that yeah. And it's a recording that whoever it is keep playing whatever, and they so stupid. They so stupid. They so stupid. And that's all I got to say. Go ahead, Herb.
Okay. The child support cost. The average cost of a child support is $430. 25% of the for the most part of a man's wages up to 50% can be used to reach that allotment. Now, I'm going to break down, and this is based on New York City, so you can factor in wherever it is that you live for the associated cost. Now, the cost of living and for a person, I think that's making $40,000 a year will be as follows. Like I said, this is based on New York City, so use your own city and figure out what it would cost per adult to maintain a residence.
You're not a random person. I think you're a racist prick, and you deserve everything. Utilities
will cost you $2,524 a month. I know personally my mortgage payment is about $450 a month. You factor in utilities, which run you about $50. Internet, if you have roommates, costs you $30. Cell phone costs you $75. Transportation costs you $116. Groceries $300 a month. And the list goes on down the line to laundry, healthcare, hygiene costs, miscellaneous, and things of that nature. So you boil that down, that costs you about $30,000 a year. Now just imagine if two people had a child, and for the sake of that child, that they live together and co-parent, they could take that additional money and put it in a 529 savings plan for that child. When that child matures and gets of age, whether that child decides to go to college, enlist in the military, get skilled for a blue collar job, that money becomes generational wealth that kid could use to go out and buy a home, start an investment, even start a business, or pay for college. And we seem to lack an understanding of how that keeps us mired in poverty. And the statistics don't lie. For every child born in poverty, the chances of that child escaping poverty are very slim, extremely slim. That also goes into our spending habits. And when we look at the things that we as African Americans spend money on, we talk about sneakers, jewelry, cars, all that stuff that has nothing to do with investment, buying homes, starting businesses. One of the ways, and I saw this on a Facebook post, one of the ways that you, and I'm speaking to individuals, you and a group of 3 or 4 other people can do to start building immediate wealth is pool your money together, go out and buy a home and turn it into an Airbnb. Real estate, even in a down market or down economy, real estate, food, and clothing. The 3 staples of anybody's life, regardless of what's going on. Because you always need a place to live, you always need something to eat, you always need something to wear. Sex is another one, but I won't get into that topic because that'll derail the conversation, and that's not my intent.
But Herb, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So when you say that, like you pull your resources together, man, that would be, a legitimate thing to do, and with, and something which many of us should want to do if you don't have it all by yourself, to pull your resources together. But for the most part, do you even have 3 or 4 people that you can count on that would actually say, yo, I'm down and I'm going to make it happen when it's time for us to pay up our money, we're going to do it? Do most people have 3 or 4 reliable people?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you how. This is the beautiful thing about social networking. You and I are doing this show from about 600-700 miles apart. If you and I can work together to do this, just imagine what other groups of people can do together. All you're looking for is pools of investors.
Fuck your mama and your daddy. And your sister in the ass. I don't give a fuck.
So if you get into a group with people who are like-minded, then y'all each are contributing a set amount of money to a set goal, then absolutely file your LLC or whatever other business arrangements you need to do. Y'all get together, y'all meet once every quarter, which amounts to once every 4 months. Y'all sit down, file your articles of incorporation, and you move from there. We have to understand what business is and means. And it's just like this whole Jay-Z situation. Jay-Z made a major business move. Like it or not, understand what it does for him long term and understand what that can allow him to do long term. See, we stuck on this dependency culture. It angers me and it saddens me at the same time that the blueprint is out there. The blueprint to wealth is out there. Now, for people that are unaware of these two names that I'm going to mention, one is on YouTube, and I believe he's been banned from Facebook. I'm not sure, but Dr. Boyce Watkins, he talks about financial stuff all the time. If you don't know who he is, look him up. His name is Boyce, and Watkins is Watkins. And a gentleman that's a little older than him is Dr. Claude Anderson. He has a book called Powernomics. Read that book. A wealth of information is contained within that book that if you apply it will set yourself up to become at least financially more savvy so you understand what it is that your money can do for you. Because people, particularly us, we have the notion that the more money you make, the wealthier you are, and that cannot be farther from the truth. The less money you spend, the more you can invest, the wealthier you are. And I saw somebody on one of the posts that you made that 6% savings is nothing. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, that's the wrong thing to tell people. 6% annualized invested in the stock market over 30 or 40 years yields a significant return. So let's get into spending power. We as a culture, we have a $1.4 trillion purchasing power. And not a significant enough amount of money is spent among Black businesses. And we wonder why Black businesses fail. You posted the meme with the hot dog, and there's a saying that the white man's ice is colder. When we go to a Black business, we want this. Yo, can you hook the brother up? Can you hook the sister up? But we don't do that to any of these other businesses. We go to a business that's ran by Middle Eastern people. No matter what the price is, we pay it. Same thing for Asian. Same thing for Caucasian businesses. We don't ask for a hookup. So why do we consistently cut our own throats when we go to our own people?
Let me chime in on that too, whatever, because it's just, to think about it, and I think it said that we spend maybe 2% of our income with Black businesses, and I had read something that if we contribute 10%, that would create like a million jobs for Blacks. But what bothers me is excuse my language, I know I cuss on here. White people they don't fuck with our businesses like that. You might have a few that Neanderthal into a soul food restaurant or something like that. Asians don't mess with us like that. Arabs, they don't mess with us like that. But we continue to support their stuff and meanwhile neglect our businesses, and we wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. I mean, I can't say I support all Black businesses, but usually when I know about one, I'm gonna, or if somebody's selling something and we're, we got a good, relationship. Or even sometimes I see stuff on Facebook with Black people, and I might purchase it or whatever the case is, because I know the grind, I understand the grind. We got to do better. We got to do better if we want to change legacies for our children grandchildren, because we all talk all that. Oh, I love their whole life and all those slogans and all that stuff. If we do, then we'll do better by them so they don't have to struggle and go through that. They'll be set. Hey, Cassandra. Shout out to everybody who came on. I didn't get a chance to shout y'all out individually because I got somebody that I know who's doing this, but they're playing games. Hater. They hating, but it's all good. So don't mind me. I'm kind of irritated, but y'all know I get irritated at times. But go ahead, Herb. Finish it out.
Yep. To that point, the dollar in the black community stays in the black community for 6 hours. In the white community, it stays for 17 days. In the Jewish community, 20 days. And in the Asian community, 30 days. Now, essentially what that means is this. For every dollar that an African-American person has, that dollar doesn't have a chance to circulate and build up anything in that community before it goes out. That's like, just imagine you trying to build a brick home. And for every brick you get, you only use 1/5 of that brick and you give it to somebody else to build. How long do you think it's going to take you to build a home? As opposed to somebody else who you're giving those bricks to. And that's what we continually do. And I've said last week, if I'm not going to help an individual build their business, I'm not going to help them tear it down. I just refuse to do that because I understand how difficult it is to come from any walk of life, particularly if you haven't been given the tools to build something. So, and I'll mention the Jay-Z situation, Colin Kaepernick situation once again. If you don't side with Jay-Z and you more apt to agree with Colin Kaepernick, don't tear Jay-Z down. Just don't. If you have something negative to say, write it down on a piece of paper, put it in a book, and leave it there. And I'm not necessarily a proponent of staying on code because I believe that in and of itself hurts us because nobody suffers from self-inflicted wounds as much as we do. And granted, the statistics on crime say that Caucasian people are far and away more violent, commit more crimes than African Americans do. The caveat is this: they don't suffer the way that we do. You can take Chicago, for instance. How many unsolved murders happen in Chicago on a yearly basis? And it's the no snitching culture, and I'm probably going to catch some flack from this, it's the no snitching culture that allows this stuff to continue. People hiding criminals knowing damn well that they're guilty as hell. And then they wonder why they can't sit on their front porch in their communities. They can't leave their kids outside to play for fear of them randomly being hit by a stray bullet. We have to be the protectors of our own communities, our own homes. And if we aren't going to do it, then why should we expect somebody else to do it? It baffles me that we continually march down that road and then we want to turn back around and say, well, no, it's white supremacy that's doing that to us. No, we go into a voting booth. We vote separately. And I mentioned church last week. We give more money to the church than we do anything, and the church isn't helping us out. It's certainly not the way it used to. So this dependency culture we have to end. We need to get ourselves on one accord so we can walk lockstep into improvement. Because white supremacy is not our fight anymore. That was our parents and our grandparents' fight. The tools are available for us to progress. The question is, do we want to use those tools, or do we still want to have a crutch and an excuse of white supremacy? You mentioned, and I thought that was a brilliant question that you posted about the SAT.
Uh-huh.
SAT scores are only a small barometer, if you ask me, of what a kid is capable of. But that problem starts to originate in the home. We give our kids phones. We give them access to everything except a quality-based education. Think about it. How often do we sit down and play classical music for our kids? How often do we sit down and ask them to read from a dictionary? Not look on the phone, but open up a book and read words from a dictionary. Or do we read to them Shakespeare or things that are above their grade level? So they're forced to think critically. If we as adults don't think critically, then how can we expect our kids to think critically? And in a world, not society, in a world where global economies are now moving in, we not only are going to have to fight domestically, we're going to have to fight internationally to gain a foothold in terms of economics. And I know people thinking that's crazy. Well, just look at what President Trump is doing with tariffs with China. And who do we import a lot of our stuff from? China. Where's most of our jet predicated from? China. So people thinking that it doesn't matter what Trump does in terms of tariffs, think again. They're predicting a recession in the next 2 years. So guess what that means? That means people working in certain jobs are probably going to lose hours. You lose hours, you lose income. Are you situated now to absorb a financial loss that there is nothing you can do about it? Do you have any type of savings put aside to where you can lean on that savings when times get higher? And I mentioned buying an ounce of gold. An ounce of gold right now, I think, is about $1,500 to $1,600. If you don't have it, make a plan to start saving to buy it. Like I said, real estate. Even if you don't own your house now, make it a point to go buy a parcel of land. Partner with somebody to buy parcels of land. Because what that land does is it affords you the ability to plant crops. And as long as you can plant crops, you can have food to store. And I know canning is something that very few people know how to do. I have never canned anything in my life. But learn to can, learn to preserve, learn to do all of that stuff, because in a worst case scenario where you have to feed yourself and stores shut down, or heaven forbid that there's an electrical failure for more than 2 or 3 days, especially if you're in a northern climate where power outages happen consistently enough, what are you going to do if you're without power for 36 hours? You have no phone because the cell towers are going to be down. So there ain't no calling for help. What are you going to do for water? What are you going to do for heat?
Hey, Herb.
Most people, yes.
Let me, I want to take this comment that Carlos Muhammad made. What's going on, Carlos? He said, all these negative things you mentioning are the residual effects of white supremacy. Dr. Nellie Fuller, hold on, let me go back to it. I don't know why this stuff is getting faded out. Said, if you don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything you do understand will only confuse you. There's more to it. I don't know why that. So basically, he's saying, like, no matter what, like if you don't understand how that works, it's gonna confuse you, and you'll probably end up still being in the same situation. But I tend to think that we should be a little bit more past that now, and I don't, unless you just oblivious to anything. Why wouldn't you understand some of the dynamics that's what's going on? Some of that, I think that still may be an excuse or something.
Carlos, let me ask you this question then. At what point does an individual stop ingesting poison when they know that poison is killing them? And it's been said time and time again, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. I'm taking away questions. I'm sorry, I'm not allowing ignorance to be an excuse as to why our people keep floundering. Because as long as we give people a convenient and viable excuse to use, guess what they're going to do? They're going to use that excuse. I'm done with it. Our generation, specifically speaking to people born of your brother's time, my time, we know what it is. We know the game. And if we don't, then it is not our parents' fault. It's our fault because we're functional adults. We're fully capable of understanding what white supremacy is, what our culture was, and where we came from. The question is, do we want to better ourselves? And if the answer is yes, then there's only one way to do that. And that is to get into society and become a part of what society is moving towards. We have too many people that are okay with just being okay. They're okay with being ordinary. They're okay with just waking up, going out, being destructive or being unproductive and thinking that's life.
Okay.
Just last week. Go ahead, Dave.
I have, I think somebody came in. Dietrich, is that you?
Yes, sir.
So,
Good day, Dietrich.
How you doing? How you doing, Herb?
Not bad, man.
So
So
Herb,
that's what I'm saying.
you can finish up your point, then Dietrich, you could come in and make some points.
Just last week, went to see a Yankees game in Toronto, and I asked myself, how many people are willing to actually drive 1 hour north just to enjoy themselves? Some people can't get over the border because they have records. Some people say, no, that's too far to drive, but they'll go spend $40, $50 at a bar that isn't even black owned just to turn it up, just to get lit. And I'm thinking, this is the microcosm of the problem with our culture. We won't do anything to enrich our lives, whether it's financially, socially, or spiritually. But we'll do everything to keep ourselves mired in the mediocrity that we are.
All right. Dietrich?
All right. How y'all doing, folks?
Good. I'm
Doing
good.
well, man.
All right, good. I see that y'all talk about powerful subject, white supremacy. I would have to say that no matter how we try to look at it or neglect it, it exists, and I think it's going to continue to exist. Honestly, as long as white people are on the planet, it's sad to say, but as long as they're on the planet, we're going to continue to have problems because they walk around with a superior attitude. We also give them that position by doing the things that we're doing, like I heard talking about us pulling our resources and coming together. We don't know how powerful our unity is. And like even when you look at the Jay-Z thing, if you look at black people and all the people that play for the NFL, why don't they just come together and start their own league? We have enough money in our communities, with our people, with the rich celebrities, to do that. But because white supremacists, we think that we got to depend on everything that they put in place for us and continue to think that. And I think that white supremacy is not just a physical thing, but it's a mindset. And so because our mindset, it has been destroyed. I heard you probably giving me a quote last year, but I think it really came from Malcolm X about lust. He lost our religion, our culture, our God.
It did.
But that's where we're at. So when somebody controls your mind, then it becomes a whole different ball game. Like even if you look at how colonization took a place with us, you look at all these other different people. Technically, there's only two people on the planet, black and white. Everything that is not white is of a black nation. But because colonization, we don't know that. And so we treat people like foreigners and enemies, and we don't even know that they're of our same culture, our same people. And so it becomes problems. But that's where white supremacists come into effect, that they got us lost and we don't know who we are, what we are. And we start treating people different and funny because they may look a little different. But if you look at the history of black people, the original people, the first people on the planet, every feature that you see came from us. Broad noses, skinny noses, thick lips, thin lips, straight hair, kinky hair, all of that came from us. So we just don't know ourselves.
Well, and like I said originally, like we know that it's there. That is there. But I think what we have to do is try to find ways to counter it. Like, that's just not going to fly with me. I'm a little sharper than that. And give them some resistance, because a lot of us, we don't give no resistance. So, prime example, remember back in the days, Dietrich, when we was getting ready to go to a party, and you took criminal justice and you had your book, and the police came by and we had the music kind of loud outside your apartment, and they told us as grown men that we had to go in the house. And we like, what? Like, even if we had a curfew, that don't pertain to us. And they kept on going, and then they realized, and one of the guys, he used to actually coach me and a couple of my boys, but Dietrich was adamant to go get the book and say, in this book, and put it up in the police officer's face and say, tell me where it says a grown person has to go in the house at a certain time. And then eventually they caved and said, okay, guys, could you just calm it down, lower the music, or whatever the case is. But that was that resistance. And they knew, like, oh, they just not going to pack their bags and go in the house and shut it down. So you have to be able to give some resistance. That's what I'm basically saying.
Well, you know what? Honestly, too, and even if you look at the Kaepernick situation, I think I'm saying his name right?
Yeah,
yes, Kaepernick. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, but the Kaepernick situation, even with him standing on the knee and taking the knee for the flag, but if you look in the history of the United States and the rules and the laws that they have set for the flag, they consider putting the flag on the ground and spreading it out as breaking the law. But they do that every game. They do that stuff, and because we don't know laws, we look at him and we say, oh, he took a knee. That's bad. But we don't look at how they come with the army and all that before football games, spread the flag out. According to their flag law, that's breaking the law. But they do it every day. And I think what happens with white people and their white supremacists, they set laws, they break them, and it's okay. Like, to me, I call it, when we do the same thing that they do, nigga laws. And so basically, when black people do something, there's another whole different law set up for them. And they enforce it and they push it. And because we don't know the laws, we just accept it. Wait, let me comment about something that was talking about investing. And I think that is very important. Honorable Elijah Muhammad always taught us that we need to do for self. Come together, do for self. If you have 5 brothers or sisters that's into real estate, all of y'all come together and start buying property. Put your money together and start buying property. If you have people that want to open up a supermarket, come together. Put your money together and do it. But I heard her talk about the Willie Lynch letter too. And when they talk about distrust stronger than trust, we don't trust each other. So a lot of times when we come together and try to do stuff like that, people be like, yo, I know he's putting that money in his pocket. I know he's doing this. And we don't trust each other. So it never come out into play. Now, when you talk about investment, like I heard y'all talking about saving, a lot of people don't understand, like even with banks, saving money in banks really don't get you no money. The interest is so low that it's ridiculous. Saving money doesn't make you money. What makes you money is putting your money in the right places and investing, like Herb was saying. And so a lot of times what people are doing, they're saving money, giving it to the bank, and they don't realize that they're giving their power over to the bank when they put their money in the bank.
Say that again.
Or they put it in 401, 403, and they can't even get their money when they want their money. And so they put their money in the power of white folks that have the power to control their money. Me and my brother, we recently, David, me and my brother, we started investing in gold. And a lot of people, they don't understand how powerful it is to invest in it and to invest in gold. If you really understand finances and how money works, in the 1930s, before the Federal Reserve note, which is the dollar, it was backed by gold. People that had gold, they had power. Now, the dollar is not backed by gold, and the dollar is losing value. In the 1970s, they freed up where people could buy gold again. but they didn't know where they could get it from. And so a lot of us, we're looking around, or we're saving money and doing things, but we're not investing our money in the right place. What I'm willing to do, if anybody is interested in learning how to invest in gold, they can inbox me, they can call me, and we'll put my number up, 716-940-6388. They could give me a call if they want to learn how to invest in gold. But I think that it makes sense to start investing in something that you'll be able to benefit from. Because if you have to think about it, gold is valuable. And pretty soon, the dollar, it will be insignificant. It's pretty much like that now. When you think about it, when we was young, if we had $5, we could go to the store and come back with a lot. You go with $5, you got one item. You go with $100, you're coming back with nothing. Back in the days, you could take $100 and come back with a lot of groceries. You could come back with an outfit, maybe. Now you can't come back with nothing because the dollar is losing value. So if anybody is interested and they want to know about gold, how can they get into this? It's very simple, very easy. It's free to open up an account. So give me a call, inbox me, let me know. I'll share the information with you. It's free to get into. And so all you have to do is start saving your paper dollars and turn it into gold. And it makes it work for you, because when your dollars lose value and you have gold saved, you're going to see that you're able to have buying power.
And I just want to second that, and I'm trying to get into that business and, trying to catch up on that. What do you have to lose at this point? What do you have to lose? Because we already know the definition of insanity. You keep doing what you're doing and keep getting the same results. You got to be crazy as hell. So sooner or later, you got to take a chance. And that's the thing that people take chances. Even to go back on Jay-Z, he taking chances. He knew he probably would get some ridicule, some backlash, but then he looked at it and said, and probably in his mind, his street mind, he probably said, "Excuse my language, fuck it," and keep it moving and keep doing what he doing. And that's what the mentality you got to have. You just got to think about that legacy and say, you know what? When I get laid to rest, my kids and my people, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be all right. We're not gonna be doing no GoFundMe and all of that stuff and watching that to see if anybody donated. We got to take chances, whatever, and stop being foolish. But thanks for that information, Dietrich.
Well, realistically, David, like you said, taking chances. What white supremacy did to us, it taught us to be scared, to be risk takers, and take chances. Like Herb was talking about planting and doing stuff, planting your own food, all that. We knew how to do that back in the days. Now we don't know how to do that stuff. If you don't know how to plant your own vegetables and fruit, then you can't eat. And so now we're so dependent on them that we get our food from them, we get our clothes from them, we get everything from them. If they said today that we're not allowed in the supermarket, we don't even make our own toilet paper. That's how dependent we are. And so, yes, you're right, Dave. We definitely got to take chances. And like I said, it's free to open up an account. And I will show you how to do it. It's not hard. All you have to do is save your money into gold and make money. And this is the only company that will allow you to buy gold up to $5 to $1 million. And so there's no reason why black people, we should be buying gold.
All right. Appreciate that knowledge.
So, David, can you post my number up if you would like, subject?
Yeah.
So if anybody needs to reach out to me, they can.
Yeah, I'll post it.
Take it from there.
Yeah. All right. All right, Herb. The mic is back yours.
Hold on, Dietrich.
Go ahead.
Dietrich.
Yes.
What was the number? 716-940-6388.
Yeah, Herb, you will make it kill. You're killing with this. So definitely.
Man, listen, and it's funny. I had this conversation with my boy, and him and I were riding, and I was like, man, I'm gonna look at buying gold. He's like, no, man, no, buy the stock market. What people don't realize is the stock market is good for long-term investment. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't invest in the stock market, but if something happens now, you need to be able to leverage something to get goods and services, and gold no matter what happens, is always going to be readily accepted. It's like Dietrich was mentioned anyway about the U.S. note. It's a fiat currency, meaning it's not backed by anything. It's just backed by trust. And this is why the U.S. fights tooth and nail to keep the U.S. dollar as the standard trading dollar throughout the world. Because what that means is this. That means that any country that is doing business has to convert their money to the U.S. dollar. This is why they're going to war with China. This is why they, and some reports I haven't yet to verify. This is why they wanted to get rid of Gaddafi so they could get in there and get the gold that Gaddafi was sitting on. And ask yourself, we all hear of Fort Knox, and we think of Fort Knox as a gold repository, and it is. But what people don't realize is Fort Knox per square meter is one of the heavily protected places on this planet. Why? Because it's a gold reserve. They will let the White House burn before they let anybody get near Fort Knox.
Right, right.
So I just want y'all to understand. I also want to read something that Carlos Muhammad said.
But Carlos is on here too. He's on here now, Herb.
Oh, Carlos?
Wait, hold on, Carlos. Before you get to being heard, and I just want to say that before you read what he was about to say, and to the people that's listening, because I know you brought me up on it, Herb, but get something that people ask. If you want to get into stocks and shares, get something as simple as an app called Robinhood. And also, too, the easy way to do it, like I'm pretty sure you probably got it, Herb. I know I got it. Text me at my number, and when you get somebody to join under you, they get you a share, and the other person gets a share. So that way, it's like growing. So if we keep it together, we can multiply our spheres by coming under each other, which is a beautiful thing.
Indeed.
Carlos.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. I just wanted to address something in reference to white supremacy. How will continue to perpetuate itself and continue? The first thing that we have to understand is white supremacy was set up systemically. It's not something that you see like a white person who is exhibiting hateful behavior or hateful language or maybe making racial slurs. That's like a small residual effect of white supremacy. Let me explain why I say that. White supremacy is systemic. When white people were coming into power, they created systems. And when they created those systems, they utilized education, they utilized politics, they utilized certain things that we naturally function under in order to maintain and keep their superiority. So, as a result, when we go to school today, it's systemic. I'm going to keep saying that word, it's systemic, and I'm going to say why I keep saying it. When we go to school, our children are exposed to the same white supremacy that our foreparents were exposed to. The same system that's perpetuating, producing certain results when these people are let out into society are being perpetuated. When our people get into politics, they're still functioning under the same system. So this is why I say you can like negate certain aspects of white supremacy and say, well, you know what, at this point, our people need to just be more astute or our people need to get over it. It's deeper than that. That's why Dr. Millie Fuller said, if we don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything we think we understand will only confuse. The Honorable Mr. Lewis Farrakhan made this statement. He said, we can never rise above the condition of our people. And the reason why certain things keep perpetuating itself, Herb and David, is because there are certain systems that are already in play. Already, the next generation of our children have grown up into this system. Our ancestors were brought up into the system. So if these systems are not broken, then of course, if you have like some black people are pooling their resources, X, Y, and Z, but they're still under the same system, and you'll still continue to have those same problems. The system itself has broken.
Okay, to your point, I am not saying that white supremacy doesn't exist, and you're right, it is systemic. But this begs the larger question. How can other ethnicities come into the United States of America and still succeed? What I'm saying is at some point in time, we have to stop playing the victim. Game is won by those who participate. We refuse to participate in the basics of the system. We refuse to get married and have kids within the bounds of marriage. We don't even raise kids together anymore under the same roof. Those are things that we have full control of that would mitigate any systemic issues that white supremacy can put before us. And you as a Muslim brother know what's said about how our society can rise no higher than the woman.
Right.
But we can.
But the problem is, that's what I said, we're assuming in our... Wait, Carlos, you need to get on your phone because you're like incredibly low.
Yeah, you are low, dude. Are you shy?
No, not the president of AASO. He can't be shy.
Hold on, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, okay. So listen, this is what I was about to, we're assuming that our people know. That's one of the things. When we approach subjects like this, we're approaching it based upon our level of information, our level of knowledge sometimes. Sometimes we feel like, look, I know that. Why do people still making these same dumb mistakes or the same foolish mistakes? That's the assumption that a lot of us, when we look at our people, look at some of the things that we're continuously doing over and over again. David made the comment, he said, insanity is, doing something over and over again and expecting different results. That's the functional definition of insanity. But yeah, things like now I see a lot of people talking about mental health issues. I hear a lot of people talking about mental health, how that's something that's pretty much negated in the Black community. There's so many different factors now that have contributed to how Black people are functioning, so many traumas that we haven't even dealt with. Dr. Joy Leary wrote a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Black people haven't even dealt with the fact that there's still traumas that have been passed on from generation to generation that we're still not coming on grips with.
But you know what that's about too, also, right? That if you pump that in somebody's head and plant it in their head, then sooner or later they'll be going to get a prescription filled that they need this and need that. So, I mean, even with if every kid has ADHD now. Every kid has ADHD. They didn't used to.
Dave, I hear you. I understand that how white psychology deals with depression and things like that. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm saying Black people looking at our own selves. Like the parents, I already know where you're going, Herb. You're saying like we at a certain point got to start looking at ourselves, taking on ownership for our stuff, and I don't disagree with that. But my only problem is I think that we assume that our people are at a place that they're not. Like our people just aren't where they should be. And because of the system, because we don't really know, like when people try to expose people to like certain language, like white supremacy, there's automatically like a shutting away or a shunning away. And then you see Black people, even today in 2019, you can go in like a lot of Black churches and see a white Jesus still on the wall. Those are all the parts of the system. And you can go into a predominantly Black system, and the textbooks are still perpetuating the, whites are the fathers of the architects of history, of mathematics. And these are things that our children are still being exposed to and still being taught. And then we wonder why we have a self-esteem issue in our community. Then these are all about the system. So the system itself is creating some of these situations. They're creating the little white race that's thinking he's better than the Black person. They're creating inferiority complex and superiority complex. It's much deeper than we say on the surface.
You know what the sad thing is, Carlos? That we look at the times of Martin Luther King in the 68, 69, and things like that, and these people are still alive that was spitting on us, sticking dogs on us, doing all that, and they had that hateful mentality towards them. That hatred was so deep, but they still around.
Right. Can I say something about that, Nick? I was talking to my mother one of the weeks, and we were talking about this is how recent this stuff is. It's not like 67 and 68, 69. Those aren't like ancient. Our parents were around. My mother was talking about desegregation. And before she moved up north, she was living down south, looking at the colored water faucet. She was looking at the white water faucet. You know, she literally lived there. Like when we talk about, you know, desegregation, we talk about Reconstruction, we talk about slavery. This stuff is not ancient history to us. So he said it took us 400 years to get in this condition. We're not just going to get up out of it overnight. The way they set up a system, we have to start setting up systems within our community, systems that start perpetuating themselves and then replicating certain behaviors, certain things, and then we'll see like different results over time. But no, it's not just going to happen overnight. Like, so we can't say like, you know, we're using things as an excuse and we got to stop playing the victim in that sense. When you understand how we've been victimized as a community, how we've been victimized as a nation, how we've been victimized as a people, and how those systems continuously perpetuate the certain outcomes that, you know, they continuously perpetuate.
Well, I think this, like you said, it's going to take time, but also you have to have those pocket of individuals that get together and people say, damn, they doing all right. We can't even get those pockets together with immediate family or immediate friends to say, hey, let's take a run at it. And then other people will start watching, because now we live in a day and age of people, they have to see visual stuff that if it ain't visual, then it ain't true. And I think I have.
We can't get Tyler Perry, Magic Johnson, Jay-Z, who else? Ice Cube. We can't even get on the records for that. I said, look, let's create our football, league. Let's create it. When you're talking about pooling resources, like when we have people who have money, this is the problem with black people. Because even when we have people who are like wealthy, and people say all the time, why don't our millionaires and create, just infrastructure? But if you look at the mentality of those people who have those large sums of money, they still feel a certain level of need to, go to like those whites who are like in power. They feel a little disempowered, like, well, I still have to go to the white person, but the white person has to still validate me and validate him. But the one thing, she won't even have certain black types of people on her show because she don't want to affect her white audience. But she don't want her white audience to feel a certain way because she's still appeasing to the white audience, the white dollar, the white validation. There's a lot of our people that still need white validation and all a part of that system that continues to perpetuate itself. It also keeps our people from coming together to do because we feel, well, we can't do it without white people. I'm talking something. I know her, you probably participated in one of these discussions. We were talking about politics and everything. I was like, the reason why I'm not heavy into politics is not because I don't think politics in and of itself are not important. Because everybody who functions in that environment know that everything is political. But like, I heard you say this about Claude Atkinson. Like Claude Atkinson said, he said, in politics, there needs to be action steps. Like, if you're putting a person in a political position of power, that person is pretty much still going to create the same result as a politician. Because we don't have the economic backing for that person that will make that person a more suitable politician for us. So it's like so many different factors that, if we're not even dealing with those factors, then we're just putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that, and that's why I'm always pushing the topic, because at some point in time, we as a people, we have to ask ourselves, do we want better? And if the answer is yes, then we have to, not need to, we have to come to a consensus and how we can achieve that betterment. And it's like you said regarding politics. Yes, we collectively can do better, But what we have to look at is in pockets where we have the power, and it exists, especially in cities like Baltimore. Baltimore, as a city, has the ability to put the right type of African-American male, or female for that matter, in positions to make an impact via the vote. And what people don't understand is your mayor chooses your police officer. Your police officer can do chief of police officer. Your chief of police can do a lot of things in your city to mitigate crime and incarceration rates of African-American males. People don't understand that. This is why I'm always stressing voting. Because if you get people in certain positions, they could change zoning law. So where you couldn't, let's just say, if you live in a state where medical marijuana is legal, and they're saying you can't build here. Okay, well, you know, we're going to go down here, we're going to speak to the zoning board, we're going to get this rezoned so we can put this dispensary here. This is what people don't understand about the nuances of voting. They'll try to dismiss voting in its entirety, and they'll realize how intricate the system is. And get back to your word, Carlos, systematic. It's all systematic, but we can't participate. We need to be in that system to be a part of that system. We're still trying to affect the system from the outside. Obama showed us that. Obama showed us that things can happen if you get inside the system. But we have to first get inside the system. We can't continue to tell ourselves we can change things from the outside and then say, well, it's the system. Get inside the system.
Well, my thing is,
I think we start building internal systems amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we build those internal systems to strengthen those internal systems, then anything and everything that we do outside that. David, let me just say this. I'm going to get off the phone, bro. Let me just say this last thing, then I'm going to get off the phone. You said, why do Asians, Arabs, and other people from other communities come into America and, you know, they seem to thrive? Everybody come in who after black people, they surpass black people. Because they focus primarily on economics. They don't deal with all that when they come here. Like, you don't see Arabs saying, look, we need to run for governor, we need to run for mayor. All they do is focus on economics. They lay their first score out. Let's lay the score out. Now all of a sudden I'm starting to see, especially in Baltimore, I'm starting to see like most of the politicians, a lot of Arabs running for like political offices in Baltimore. But for a long time you didn't see that. They were focusing on building the economy. They were like, you know, doing it in a way, in an intelligent way where like they were hiring their own people. They were, you know, keeping their money circulating in their community. And they were coming into our community and setting up those shops. Because they felt like it was efficient to, you know, we're not doing it, so we got to take it and, you know, and take advantage. And we, you know, everybody else knows, like how the black dollar circulates, how black people are like the 11th richest nation on the planet.
Yeah.
So I think all of those things are important. So like when we start building internal systems, I think we'll be better off. Then we can like start curbing all the other stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying.
David, it's an amazing conversation. Amazing.
Oh, no problem.
Carlos and Herb. Here's a question for Carlos and Herb. Do y'all think Jay-Z is doing what he's doing to get into the system and maybe change it?
I don't believe he needs to change the system, and I say that for this reason and this reason only. Why change the system when you can create a whole new system?
Right.
And this is what Carlos was saying about Middle Eastern people come over. They're not worried about the system. They're worried about gaining an economic foothold because they understand how the U.S. works. The U.S. is a cash rule everything around me. You got the money, you got votes. You got votes, you got politicians. You got politicians, you make laws that are favorable to your cause. So whether Jay-Z is trying to impact the system or not, he's trying to he said this. He said, I'm going to show you how to move in a room full of vultures.
Right.
He's carving out a system to where he can move back and say, you know what, I'm safe here, I know what's going on here. And as things progress, he expands his bubble, and his bubble is nothing more than his sphere of influence. And that's where the political realm comes in, because if you have that money, you buy politicians. Politicians are they're to be bought and sold. You find me a politician who isn't in some regards predicated on money, I will show you a politician that's 101% altruistic. And I know because I done been there.
And funny
I've never won a race, but I understand how the game works.
Right. I think, but the funny thing is, a lot of rich people don't care. They don't care who wins.
No, because they're going to.
Right. I was going to ask you a question. I think in terms of Jay-Z, I think Roger, get out.
Yeah.
I think he had a plan. I think Jay-Z in his mind also had a plan. I think Roger felt like, we can use Jay-Z to stifle or eliminate some of the backlash that the NFL was already getting. Ratings were dropping. There was a negative effect as a result of what happened with Kaepernick with the NFL. So, they had to, reach out to somebody. Who's the most influential on black people? They feel is Jay-Z. Just like when the Barclays called Jay-Z to work that whole deal in Brooklyn. So they didn't understand Jay-Z's power and his influence amongst us. And I think they tried to manipulate that.
Well, didn't originally they offer that same deal to Jermaine Dupri?
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, that's what's circulating around, and I'm like, okay, now his net worth is at this point in time, and he's a brilliant guy for his producer, but his net worth is like $5 million. Jay-Z is $1 billion.
Well, Jay-Z in his mind probably felt like, I could take this bag and do more with it or do something with it. I think what the problem is with Jay-Z, what he didn't anticipate the backlash coming. One thing I didn't like when I seen the press conference is how the Roger guy was pretty much laying back, and he was letting Jay-Z. He left Jay-Z to the Lord. Once Charlie Man opened up the question, Jay-Z pretty much was left out there to answer for the NFL, to take the shot for the NFL. He was like the Christmas addict for the NFL. The black Negroes to get shot. So Jay-Z was taking the bullets for the NFL. I think he should have went in before he even had a press conference. He should have said, look, this is what we're going to do in order to change the look of the NFL. We're going to address this elephant in the room, the Kaepernick situation. We're going to put this before the people. We're going to create some type of situation where we talk to Kaepernick, rectify that situation, because that situation is what created, the backlash in the first place. We have to fix it. So once we fix that, then we'll go before the people. We'll tell them what we're doing for social justice and everything else. I think had they approached it that way, and I posted on my Facebook, if they would have approached it with that question, if they would have approached the NFL like a boss, and not somebody who's just going to say substance, I think it would have been a smooth transition. Oh, yeah, you'd have to like the you white haters angry, but you wouldn't have had the type of backlash that you had from the black community for sure.
Again,
because everybody's fighting. You said what?
Again, I want to ask, where did the NFL come into play with police brutality? When were they the governing law to oversee all of this? I'm not understanding that.
I think it's because they're supposed to create a social justice. They're supposed to be taking social justice flag, the NFL. So because they're supposedly creating that initiative, and they're bringing Jay-Z to play that initiative in response to Kaepernick, that's why they're, mentioned. Of course, the NFL never had a history of helping out anybody, and, it is kind of funny that that's the situation, but because that's what they're claiming to be doing and claiming to be interested in, that's why it's receiving the type of backlash. I don't think she rolled it out properly.
Listen, as long as you have insecure white men as police officers that got bullied, got low self-esteem, and when they get a chance to be in power, to take advantage of some black person, they're going to do it every damn time. Every damn time.
And this is why, and that's specifically why I keep pushing for people who take the civil service exam, especially people that are on a track to getting a political science degree. Because what that's going to do long term is if you want to roll that police career into law enforcement or into being a lawyer, not only do you have working knowledge of police officers and their tactics and how they work, now you can transition into the law aspect of it, and you become a weapon that nobody can defeat. You become
you remember how we used to take over stuff with AASF?
Man, roll up in shit. Just roll up in.
Listen, we all have to say stuff like this. We need a bunch of our people to join student government. Once we join student government, then we can pretty much come back to the student activity. Chris ended up going, he ended up going, he was on an ASO. Not the Rockets the shop. He was on an ASO. Like, these are people that was in ASO. She was on my public relations committee. Now she's a legislator in Brooklyn, and she's doing big things in Brooklyn. But these people were on AASO. And we internally said, look, this is how we need to move on forward. Y'all need to go grab the bigger pot and do X, Y, and Z. So it's still a plan. A lot of black people are just functioning in silos. They're like doing it on their own. They don't have like a network or a community of people that's like that. That's the problem. That's why
and it's funny to say that because I remember that year when we were all, I think David was probably the only one that wasn't there. I know you, myself, and Deacon, we were all on the ASL because that year I actually ran for USG and I won a senator position. And it was after the Green Day concert that people was like, yo, wait a minute. How was Green Day coming here and nobody had a vote? And they say, hey, look, the USG voted. The council voted. This is what we have. And we said, okay, this shit got to stop. And this is what I mean by getting into the system. I remember that. Man, do I.
Well, brothers, I'm going to get on to I'm going to be on online and comment, but I got something else. So I'm going to get out. It was a pleasure, Herb. Good job. David, controversial comment. Great job.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the conversation. We'll be still watching.
All right. Well, we're going
to tune in next week because I'm going to do a part 2 on this too.
Okay.
Before you get on, because we talked about my fault counselor, I'm acting like I'm your co-host. before you get on, I want to give a plug for your book because we talk about people supporting each other, and I'm pretty sure the counselor, he wants this type of avenue for us to support each other. Like they should be buying his book.
Question.
Cocktail Conversations. They should be buying that book. We should be supporting each other. So you might want to shoot out a plug about your book, stuff like that.
If anybody is okay, thank you, DJ. I appreciate it. If anybody's interested in my book, I have 2 books available. They're both available on Amazon. The other book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Google Books, etc. You can hit me up. You see my name in the comments. You can hit me up and ask me more information. But I have a book called Your Daddy Wasn't Shit, So You're Not Going to Be Shit. Removing the harmful effects of curse words. The book is not what it sounds like. If you want more information, like I said, hit me up. I also have a book of poetry called That's Spirits. And you can hit me up about that book as well. I'll be in the comments. If anybody is listening, hit me up and we can proceed. I'll give you all the details. Or, as a matter of fact, I'll post a link in the comment section that'll take you directly to where you can get the books. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So,
my podcast.
no, I mean, with that said, of course I knew that we was going to go over time when you had these conversations, and I don't mind it, but I just know our people attention spans, it's getting late. Some of us, our age in our 40s, 50s, they go to bed like 9, and they're like, oh, I barely stayed up. So I want to honor that, but these conversations need to be had, and we need to continue to try to figure things out. And for me to close it out, when you think about the system, I think the system has to start with small pockets of individuals and then people watching your moves and saying, oh, they're making some serious moves. And then, of course, we live in a copycat society that they're going to follow eventually, but you have to have those little pockets of individuals. Jay-Z and all of them, that's why I don't know why people at our level getting so emotionally involved. That's a whole different level. That's a whole different ball game. Their money. We have our own shit, neighborhoods, community, and stuff like that, family and stuff like that we have to work on. Because Jay-Z, he probably, whoever his family is, he run that shit. He run it. Let me be honest, they run it. And we have to get to that point that we all don't sit around looking stupid at a family reunion or funeral and stuff like that when somebody died. Like, who's going to throw in $300? Or who's going to throw in this much? Or let's do this and that. We got to change the tide for that. And that's all I'm saying. And we only could do it by communicating and trying to invest and pull our resources together and make things happen. That's my final words. Herb, what's your final words?
$1.4 trillion. Don't say we don't have the money. We do.
Yeah. Dietrich?
Do I get one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. What I would like to say is interested in learning about investing in gold. Call me at 716-940-6388. Let's work together. Let's do stuff.
We got to. We're in some desperate times, and I don't know why people think they're going to live forever and all that stuff, but something got to be done. You can't be scared. You got to think about down the road. You won't, you
can't leave your job. You can't leave your job to your children. You can't leave a job with them. Let's build a legacy.
And that's the bottom line. Make things easier for your children, that they say, you know what, I was able to get a home. I was able to do this. I was able to do that. Because right now, we're not doing that. So we always start off, we're so behind. And it's time for us to try to catch up. But eventually, it's a marathon, and we have to pace ourselves to try to get through it. But we have to take chances. With that said, I'm out. Please share the conversation. Look forward to more conversations in the Counselor's Corner. And, I post throughout the weeks. Chime in, share, and let's keep having these productive conversations. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to bring up some of the comments, but, people, the thread is still going on. You can still comment, and then feel free to chime in during the watch parties and stuff like that. So I'm out. With that said, everybody have a productive rest of the week, and let's just let this stuff marinate, and let's make moves and invest in gold and do other things. And stay tuned for part 2 of this series of White Supremacy. Is it real? Because we know it is. All right, I'm out. Thank you all. Everybody have a good night. Please share the post. I'm out. Peace.
Peace.